User interfaces have existed ever since the dawn of the digital realm. It is the means of being able to interact with the computer or the program to perform certain tasks. User interface, or UI for short, can range from basic design to advanced. Today, I'll be diving into Blender's user interface and shedding light on some of its parts, starting with the 3D viewport. The 3D viewport is where all the 3D objects are in the scene. This part of the interface is important for working with 3D objects. It has options that allows us to perform various tasks, such as manipulating objects, adding or removing them, animating them, rigging them, and many more. The bar shown on the left side is the toolbar. It provides us tools that'll help us select objects and change its attributes. You can move, scale, rotate, annotate, measure, and add an object. There's another bar that is on the right side called the sidebar. It shows us the current active tool, viewport settings, and the selected object. The top right area of the viewport has different options as well, from adding meshes, armatures, cameras, lights, curves, and more. It has various selection tools that allows us to select meshes in many ways. In the middle part of the viewport, we have other tools such as transform pivots, transform orientation, snapping tool that can snap objects from one to another. Next to it is the proportional editing tool. When it's active, moving an object influences other objects as well if they are within its radius. You can increase or decrease the radius by scrolling up or down. Pressing O will toggle it on or off. On the top left of the viewport, we have more settings, such as viewing object types, gizmos, X-ray mode, and viewport shading. I'll be covering more about each one of these in different video topics as there is a lot to cover. Let's move on to the outliner. The outliner is an important part of Blender's UI. It shows us the current items we have in our scene, stored in a collection. Collections are Blender's layer system. The more collections we have, the more layers we can swap from. It is useful for organizing your scenes and your outliner window. Pressing C in the outliner will create a new collection. Pressing the New Collection button will also create a new collection. The funnel icon next to that button is the filter. The filter contains options that are usually hidden called restriction toggles. These toggles enable certain restrictions that we can turn on or off in the outliner. These restriction toggles are Exclude from View Layer, Selectable, Hide in Viewport, Disable in Viewport, Disable in Renders, Hold Out, Indirect Only. The outliner has a search box that we can search from. We can search for collections, empties, and even objects. Moving on to the Properties window. The Properties window is a critical part of Blender's UI, as it's considered the most looked area in Blender. This area is where you'll be spending some, if not most of your time trying different tools. This means adjusting settings, adding materials, constraints, modifiers, and many more. It'll be discussed more in the upcoming video topics. Next is the animation timeline. The animation timeline or timeline window is where we can play our animations and sounds. It is used for creating animations and polishing them through a graph known as the graph editor. It has features such as playing animations, playing them in reverse, jumping to the start frame and to the end frame, jumping to keyframes, auto keying, which inserts a keyframe automatically when we make changes to our characters or objects. It also displays the current frame that we are on. You can also adjust the starting frame and have it start at any given frame number. Changing the end frame will change where the frame ends at. Let's move on to the information window. The information window is an essential part as it provides many settings, starting with the File option. The File option allows us to open, create, and save Blender files, with the addition of recovering any lost work from an unexpected crash. We can import files over to Blender and export them in different file formats. This is handy for those who want to import models into Blender or export them somewhere else. It is also possible to change our startup file that always starts us with the cube, camera, and the light by making changes to the 3D viewport and saving the startup files. This also works with changing the UI as well. So whenever you change the UI and save it as the startup file, it'll always start with how the settings were. We can reset it by loading the factory settings. The edit window is where we can change Blender's core settings. We can change how the UI looks, change its themes, keybinds, inputs, navigation, systems, and even install add-ons through it. The render window is for rendering images, animations, and audio. Next on the list are the workspaces. Blender offers different workspaces to work from. By default, Blender offers about 11 workspaces in the general starting file. Each workspace is a different area made for specific tasks. You can customize these workspaces to your liking. You can add, duplicate, and remove workspaces. You can also move them to the front or to the back. Additionally, if you double-click the workspace, you can rename it to whatever you like. Now let's move to customizing Blender's UI. Blender is a free and open source 3D software that is very modular and customizable, from changing its colors to even changing how we see the UI. When we check each window in the UI, we notice that there is an option called Editor Type. The Editor Type option shows us what the current editor we have on. It also lets us choose what type of editor we want in our scene. We have a huge range of options to choose from, and you can customize it to your heart's content. Here's a quick demonstration of what happens when we change our editor types. Blender offers the option of splitting our windows, just like splitting your marriage.
It's time to split!
Right, whatever.
If we right-click in a corner of any window we have, an option appears that lets us create a split. The split can be vertical or horizontal. Once clicking on one of the options, it should show us a white line that's tracking our mouse. And then upon left-clicking anywhere, it'll create the split. We can do the same by hovering our mouse on any corner. The mouse icon changes like a crosshair. It creates a new split upon dragging it. We can then join the split windows by either right-clicking again on the corner and choosing Join Areas, and upon left-clicking anywhere, it'll join the split window, or dragging the split window onto the area we want to join. We could also pop a new window in Blender by clicking on Window and selecting New Window, or if you want the whole UI, then click on Window and choose New Main Window. If you made it this far, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content. If you do have any further questions or feedback, please let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more content.